Hello and welcome to a new video for World of Warcraft Season of Discovery. We got new Paladin changes on the PTR, so in this video I'm going to show you everything we've changed for Paladins, especially the new changes for Retribution Paladins on the PTR for the upcoming Phase 4 of Season of Discovery. They also introduced world buffs on the PTR, so I also did a damage test on 2 different playstyles for Red, and I will show you my DPS results later on in this video. If you have not heard it already, Phase 4 will start on 11th of July, so there is not much time left for PTR changes. So this might be one of the last builds for Paladins, we will see, but we still have to see what will happen in the future. Alright, let's start with patch notes. So what changed? Hammer of the Righteous damage got increased to 3 times weapon damage instead of 2 times weapon damage. This is just a nice buff for protection paladins, which will increase the damage. Art of War now reduces the remaining cooldown of Exorcism by 2 seconds on critical hit instead of 1 second. This is a really good change because it enables Exorcism spam playstyle again. I really like this change and I think this is a really big W for the PTR and for Reds. They also want to buff protection paladins with this because the Exorcism nerf hit them really hard DPS wise, so this is a really welcome change and I'm glad they introduced it. Next, the Divine Sacrifice rune got replaced with Hand of Sacrifice. So Hand of Sacrifice now transfers 30% of one party or raid member directly to the paladin for 12 seconds. I have to say I liked the old version of Divine Sacrifice. It also gave 10% more damage. It was just not viable until now to use it because you had better options on your leg. You had to use Exorcist anyway, or you had to use Rebuke, so there was not really an opportunity to use this rune. They also write here the version of Divine Sacrifice they introduced has a lot of drawbacks and it's very situational on a slot filled with other situationally good utility. So this is still the case in my opinion, but I like the new Hand of Sacrifice especially for PvP because you don't have to use Blessing of Sacrifice anymore to break CC now. You can if you really have to, but you don't have to override your buffs now anymore, so it's a welcome change for PvP. Next, activating Holy Shield no longer provides attack power, but now provides spell power, but point of defense instead. They are going more into the malleable protection rune with this because it also increases, in addition on its wall effect, the spell power you gain from Holy Shield by 100%. I think you probably want to take Chef of Light anyway as a protection paladin, so not quite sure about this change. The IP scaling was fine in my opinion, but I'm also not a main protection paladin, so if you're a main protection paladin, let me know if you think this is a good change or if you like the AD version of it more. Alright, now let's get to the big change for Retribution Paladins. The Vindicator rune has been removed and was replaced with Shock and Awe. Shock and Awe allows you to gain 100% of your intellect as spell damage for 1 minute every time you cast Holy Shock. So what does this mean? First of all, it's a big nerf for our damage because the Vindicator rune was really strong. It increased our attack power, agility and strength at the same time. What they did instead is they didn't completely remove it. They put its power in a weaker version in the Vindicator talent itself. So the talent now reduces strength and agility as a debuff, also from raid bosses as it did with the rune. And it reduces the target's attack power. And at the same time it also increases the paladin's attack power by 15% during its 30-second duration. It's just a weaker version of the rune in the talent now. It enables us to use Righteous Vengeance on the back, which deals 50% additional damage on crits of your Crusader Strike, Judgment and Divine Storm. Overall, I tested this out and I will show you the results of it later on. And Shield of Righteousness now causes damage equal 2 times of the shield box value, so this is just a buff for Shield of Righteousness, which is nice. Okay, so what does this changes mean for Retribution Paladins playstyles in the future? I did a DPS test with a slow 2-hand weapon with Arcanate Reaper and world buffs. The removal of the new Vindicator rune is really tough. We were sitting at around 2k DPS with wings with Vindicator rune before, and the nerfed Exorcist rune without world buffs and around 1.6k DPS without wings. I did this testing in the past without Wind Fury, but also without world buffs. Now our damage got nerfed even more. I replicated my old testing without Wind Fury at a training dummy, so I popped all world buffs and consumables and came to around about the same numbers we had before without world buffs. During wings I did around 2k DPS, without wings I was sitting at 1.6k DPS. As you probably know, I wasn't really happy with those numbers compared to other classes before, and it seems even worse now. But I also want to give credit for buffing up the Exorcist rune. With this adjustment, the fast exorcism machine gun spam playstyle will be viable again, and you get rewarded for pressing your buttons fast. I really enjoyed that, and I hope we will get some fast weapon support for this. I did some testing on the PTR with world buffs, and my only option was the light forged blade with a speed of 3.3. Again without Wind Fury, but with active world buffs. The damage was round about the same as it was with the slow weapon. I used the same red gear for it. Exorcism was obviously the number one damage source here, compared to the slow two-hand weapon style, where it was sitting on position 2. With a fast 2.0 weapon, the damage should increase, and it will be a viable choice for the future. So what do I think about reds in Phase 4? My opinion didn't change at all from my last tests. Reds will be most likely in the middle or even below in DPS on the damage charge and rates if it stays like this. Our support will most likely not be necessary for 20-man raids, so we can be lucky if we get a raid spot as reds compared to better DPS choices with even better support. You will always prefer a warrior now, which can give your raid a backup world buff instead of a red. Protection and holy paladins bring the same support for the raid and are just viable choices in their roles. I will do a Shockadin build and test it on the PTR with the new back rune to see if there is a viable DPS option there. But what do you think about the new paladin changes? Do you think reds will be viable in Phase 4? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you found this useful, consider to like and subscribe for more World of Warcraft Season of Discovery content.